All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Senior Bowl breakdown. As we watch the Senior Bowl, and we'll give you a review. We'll tell you the best players and the most exciting players from the 2025 Senior Bowl. And of course, this video brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And we thank them for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. And this video is also brought to you by Aura, and we'll have a word from Aura in a minute. All right, let's talk a little bit about the 2025 Senior Bowl. It was played on Saturday, and it's the biggest all-star game of the year. It features juniors and who are draft eligible as well as seniors, and it was played at University of South Alabama, their stadium there in Mobile, Alabama. And let's talk about who stood out in the game. First of all, I think this draft is definitely every draft has its own, personality and defining characteristics. This is kind of a meat and potatoes line of scrimmage draft. Really strong on the offensive line, very strong on the defensive line, exceptionally deep at running back, tight end, and defensive tackle especially. And that's really what stood out. But let's just go through, and there were a number of guys who impressed me watching the thing, and I just spent a lot of time going through it kind of piece by piece. So we'll talk about some of the guys that really shined, and then we'll get into our 5 or 6 favorite players from the game itself. As far as guys who kind of jumped off the page at me today, Riley Leonard, the Notre Dame quarterback, who, he's a hard guy to evaluate because he's a great athlete. He ran a lot at Notre Dame. He was a Duke transfer, smart guy. He's from Mobile. But you can tell he's a great kid. And he came out and he made a number of really good throws. I think he was like 6 of 7. Very accurate, changed his arm angle, stayed in the pocket, didn't look to run, looked quite a bit different than he did in Notre Dame's offense. I really like Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard is going to be a good day 3 prospect, and he's just a gamer. He's just a gamer. He knows how to play. So he kind of stood out to me. Jack Beck, the TCU wide receiver, really was the story of the week in Mobile. Of course, Jack lost his brother in that tragic terrorist thing in New Orleans. And his brother also played college football. They honored him this week. And Jack Betch, I should say, is an incredible player. Very tough. Really good ball skills. There are bigger, stronger, faster guys, but this guy's going to play in the NFL just because he's so competitive. He's got such good ball skills, and he made a number of really, really nice plays. Another guy that really opened eyes this week was Darius Alexander, the Toledo defensive tackle. Last year, Quinyon Mitchell dominated this game from Toledo. And this week, Darius Alexander was one of the best players in Mobile. Big defensive tackle, about 310 pounds. But he's got potential to even get bigger and stronger than he is right now. He was a hard guy to block all week long, and then he showed well in the game today. The tight end from Miami, Elijah Arroyo, had a really good week catching the ball. He looked good in this game, caught a nice pass in the end zone. I think it was a 2-point conversion. Anthony Belton from NC State, gigantic offensive tackle, 334 pounds. I thought he really shined. Shamar James, the linebacker from Florida, very, very athletic player, really fun to watch. Jeff Bassa, the linebacker from Oregon, flying around making plays. He looked really good. Ty Robinson, the gigantic defensive tackle from Nebraska, he made a number of different plays. I thought Tyler Shugg, for Oregon, Texas Tech, a Louisville quarterback who played like 7 years of college football. Shugg threw the ball well. I mean, you can see he's got big hands. He can control the football. He threw some lasers out there. Willie Lampkin, the 5'10", 270-pound center, I thought played well in this game after having a very strong week of practice. Woody Marks, the USC running back, I thought looked impressive. He obviously can catch the ball out of the backfield. 5'10", 215 pounds. I thought he looked really good. R.J. Harvey, the running back from Central Florida. As I said, it's a phenomenal running back draft. And R.J. Harvey impressed in both halves. This guy wound up with 18 career 18 career touchdowns or 48 career touchdowns, and he's just a compact runner. He doesn't come down on first contact. Very, very impressive. Marcus Yarns, the running back from Delaware, I thought he had some good moments. Eugene Asante, the linebacker from Auburn, was flying around and making plays. He looked really good. Demetrius Knight, the linebacker from South Carolina, had a good game. Brashard Smith, the running back, wide receiver return man from SMU. Very explosive player, and he showed that explosiveness. I thought Jacob Parrish had maybe the best hit of the game. The cornerback from K-State came up and stonewalled the receiver and had a great tackle, big time hit. So those were some of the guys that stood out to me. But as far as who was the creme de la creme, who were the best players, who were the guys that you leave the game going, man, that guy looks really good. I got to watch more of that guy. All right, let's go down our list here. And this is in no particular order. These guys were, as far as I was concerned, the guys that really, really shined in this game. Olawafemi Oladejo, the former Cal Bear, and he's 6'3", 260 pounds. He's now an edge rusher. He became an edge rusher after being an inside linebacker. He's an Elk Grove kid from Sacramento. Went to Consummas, Oaks High School, from Elk Grove, started at Cal, started as an inside linebacker, really smart player, two-time UCLA athletic director's honor roll member, Big Ten Conference fall academic honor roll member, really smart, played as a stacked backer for Cal, but UCLA moved him to the edge, and this guy is awesome. He comes flying off the edge. He's really impressive. Super athletic, all kinds of projectability, kind of a tone-setting player, fired up. You could see he was very popular. He had multiple sacks. He caused all kinds of havoc. He's a damn good player. Olawafemi Oladejo. Really good player, really good pass rusher. I think he's going to be a mid-round pick. He might slip into day 3 off of what he did in this All-Star game. We'll see what he looks like at the Combine. But that guy is a fantastic edge rusher, and I would love to see him opposite Nick Bosa in the Niners 4-3 wide 9. Olawafemi Oladejo, great talent, great motor, just explosive and very strong, smart. There's so much to like about Olawafemi Oladejo. He just absolutely shined. He was fantastic. He was good in the practices, but he was even better in the game. So he absolutely stood out. One guy for sure that people are going to keep track of. Another guy was Aeneas Peebles, the defensive lineman from Vautech. And Peebles had a 91.0 PFF pass rush grade this year, which was first among all FBS draft-eligible defensive tackles. And this guy is just a penetrating, he's not for everybody, right? He's not a two-gapper, but if have like the Niners have, this wide 9, one gap, penetrate, get up the field, rush the passer kind of a front, Peebles would work out greatly as a situational rusher. He shoots gaps. He comes flying. I think in a front where you do a lot of stunting and twisting, you're really going to take advantage of this guy. His strengths are he's got a great first step, unbelievable motor, just it revs at a very high rate. He's kind of liquid in his approach in that if you take away one thing, he can roll into another thing. I mean, he's really, really versatile on the defensive line. He plays with great body lean, great leverage. He's more of a pass rusher than a run defender, but I think he's decent against the run. He's really active. I don't think he's like the kind of guy that you would start and put him at defensive tackle and go with him all game. I think he's the kind of guy, kind of like a Kevin Givens, who you'd play off the bench in a rotation, and he could give you just tremendous tremendous effort and heat up the quarterback from the interior. If you want to use him as an interior rusher and obvious passing downs, but I think he's also athletic enough to play defensive end. So Aeneas Peebles really stood out. Another guy that stood out off the edge was David Walker from Central Arkansas, who transferred there from Southern Arkansas. He had a sack in this game. He had 31 career sacks, and he's kind of a compact defensive end, but man, this guy plays with leverage. He plays with a tremendous motor. He's got the knack. Sacking the quarterback is a skill, and it's a skill that often translates from college to the pros, and David Walker has it. There's no question he's going to be a mid-round guy, but he is impressive. And off the edge, he makes his presence felt. I mean, he comes flying off the edge and is really, really impressive. Another guy that kind of caught my eye this weekend was Dan Jackson, who kind of reminds me a little bit of John Lynch, the Georgia safety, who went from a walk-on to a very productive player for Kirby Smart. And the guy had 10 tackles in the Alabama game. He was coach's all-SEC third-team selection. Very smart player. He was, SEC academic honor roll. Really, really interesting player. This guy was the high school record holder in the 100-meter hurdles and walked on at Georgia and then became a significant player for them. Finished third on the team in total tackles this year with 64, and he's a hitter. He's a big-time hitter. So he takes the right angles. You can tell football's important to him. I'll be very interested to see what his actual measurables are when it comes to his workout numbers. We'll have to see. But man, I mean, 6'1", 195, very, very physical. He had a bunch of big hits. He's always in the right spot. He's a day 3 safety, probably a special teamer to start his career. But Dan Jackson can play. He can play, and he's going to play in the NFL. What a story. Walk-on player to, NFL player. I mean, I really think he's going to make the full conversion. Very, very impressive player for sure, Dan Jackson. Another guy who I thought was a top-tier player, he finished up by throwing the game-winning touchdown pass. The Memphis quarterback, Seth Hennigan, is kind of clutch. Smart kid, processes well. I think would really fit in Shanahan's system. He's got a quick release. He was 44-2 in high school. Very productive at Memphis. In this game, he was 12 of 14 for 132 yards. He's clutch. He's smart. He's got a quick release. He's calm. He's going to be a day 3 pick, and I don't think he's going to be a highly coveted guy. He may be an undrafted guy. But I'll tell you, that would be a quarterback that I would have some interest in. I thought there were some decent quarterbacks. Shug looked pretty good. Riley Leonard looked pretty good. And Seth Hennigan looked pretty good. So not a star. I don't know that he projects as an NFL starter. He's maybe more of a high-level backup. But he looks like he can play. And, there is a clutch gene to Seth Hennigan. If you followed his career at Memphis, this guy plays well in big moments. And he didn't seem at all bothered by the step up in caliber of competition. As I said, 12 of 14. He threw the game-winning touchdown pass to Betch at the end on the last play. He looked good. He looked really good. And then in an all-star setting, to go 12 of 14 like that when you don't really have, any real rapport with your receivers because you've only worked with them for a few days, to go 12 of 14 in an all-star setting is good, really good. So Seth Hennigan stood out to me as a guy that, man, didn't really think much of him. But, man, by the end of the day, I was thinking maybe this guy can do it. And let's get to the two guys that I think really, really shined in this game. One of them in the first half, Landon Jackson, the defensive end from Arkansas. Man, this is a guy the 49ers have to find a way to get. I'm going to have to redo some of my mocks and figure out a way for the Niners to wind up with Landon Jackson. He's not going to go at 11. So it's 11's too high to take him. Um, where the Niners pick in the second round is probably too low to get him there either. But man, I love Landon Jackson. I mean, he's a 280-pound edge rusher with tremendous burst, tremendous hand usage, great bend, great body control. Love him. I think this guy opposite Nick Bosa would be exactly what the doctor ordered. He's big, he's fast, I think he's a star. I think he's an absolute star. At the next level, you put him opposite Nick Bosa, and Landon Jackson is going to be huge. So, you know, now looking at this game, I would say, I haven't decided what I would want to do with that first round pick, but I'm pretty damn sure I want Landon Jackson with that second pick. Now the question is, will he be there at that second pick? He opened my eyes. I mean, I knew he was a tremendous player. I watched him all year, but he was fantastic in this setting. And I just think the more I see him, the more I think you put him opposite Nick Bosa, and that's the guy. Those two guys could get the Niners to the Super Bowl. This guy and Bosa off the edges could be an unbelievable tandem. And who was the guy? Was there one guy that stood out above everybody else? For me, I'm going to say Savion Jones from LSU. LSU just gets some of the best players and the best recruits. Savion Jones, 6'6", 280-pound. Is he a tackle? Is he an end? It's hard to say. I mean, it's really hard to say. He's from Vacherie, Louisiana. He went to St. James High School, and he just got into the backfield at will. His best season was his senior year. This year, he had 40 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. He started 27 consecutive games on the defensive line for LSU to cap his career. Finished with 51 appearances, 29 starts, 11.5 career sacks, 17 quarterback hurries, 3 forced fumbles. He was a 3-sport standout star in high school: football, basketball, and track and field. And, this guy is he's a mismatch. I mean, he is absolutely a mismatch. At 6'6", 280 with a projectable frame that looks like he could easily put on 10, 15 more pounds. I mean, this guy is lean and mean at 6'6", 280. He's way too quick as an interior rusher for the guards and the centers that are trying to block him. And he has moves. So he jumped through the guard and got basically had a little rip move. He had a swim move. He got by him a couple times on the swim move. He's got a little bit of a spin move. You can tell that he understands how to get out of his stance and make a quick move at 6'6", 280. So he's the kind of guy that's just a mismatch. He's too quick inside. He's too big outside, and he's got great movement ability. So, Savion Jones, I did not have him on my list. LSU is, they're on the short list with Georgia, Bama, and a couple other schools, Ohio State, where they just annually get some of the nation's greatest athletes. And every year you'll see somebody from Georgia or LSU or Bama, who wasn't even a significant player necessarily, wind up getting drafted or overdrafted just based on potential. And I could see Savion Jones, especially once this film circulates, I could see this guy being a second-round pick. 6'6", 280. He could wind up being 6'6", 290. And he is lean and mean and can rush the passer with speed. And he's so athletic that you could play him as a first and second down defensive end in a 4-3. And I think he's athletic enough to play defensive end on first and second down. Just a very, very valuable player, very athletic. What this kid has is just all natural. You cannot teach this. He's got unbelievable body for the game. He's got long arms, quick feet, really strong. Wow. He wrecked shop in the first half of this game, and it became the Savion Jones show. And we're talking about all-star players who could not handle him. And he just was too quick for the inside guys. He's going to be too big for tight ends to try to stay in front of if you play him at defensive end. He was impressive. Savion Jones, to me, in my opinion, was the star of the Senior Bowl. All right, that does it. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. And now a word from our sponsor, Aura.
Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial.
And thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.